Porsha, why you gotta be such a dickhead? Let's talk about it.
Welcome to the Asia Esterak Hour, where film meets conspiracy and pop culture gets a reality check. From sharp recaps to sci-fi theories and media deep dives, Asia Esterak serves it unfiltered. Let the binge begin.
All right, this is the Asia Esterak Hour. That would be me. All right, Real Housewives of Atlanta, season 16, episode 10. Let's go. All right, so we open with Kelly and her daughters in their townhome. She's talking about how they went from a 7,000 square foot home to a townhome. I didn't realize she had another daughter. I thought she had 3 kids. I didn't realize she had 4. There was a young lady named Chance, another daughter that she was talking to. She's cute. Maybe they had mentioned her or saw her before. I didn't see her. But anyway, hi, Chance. So Kelly's talking about how they're in the process of looking for a house to move into. Yeah. So next scene, Shamea goes and meets with Ralph for like a early evening dinner. First of all, Shamea's hair, the finger waves were finger waving. I was here for it. Yes. When my hair grows out a little bit longer, I might try that. Ralph, who I can't stand, looked great too. They apparently met on a former podcast together. So they were talking about that. He's talking about how he's doing a podcast and could potentially need help on that. He's doing one from the basement. They briefly discussed Drew. I guess Shamea talks about how it's sad that her and Drew are in a weird place because of everything with Porsha. What's interesting is Ralph didn't know that Drew was fired, or not fired, maybe fired, whatever. Her contracts weren't renewed with Go Naked Hair. He didn't know any of that. It's interesting that him and Drew live in the same house and are 2 completely different lives. It's wild. It's sad. I feel bad for their kids. We'll get to that later. So Porsha shows up. Ralph says in his confessional that he had no idea Porsha was coming, and I believe it, especially when they all start to get into talking. She mentions that she was at a event space because she's going to be having a Pampered by Porsha event. I don't know if you guys remember, Porsha had she was starting this like home textile as far as like sheets and shit. So I guess she's getting back into that. So anyway, Porsha and Dennis start chatting. Porsha reveals a text message that Dennis sent her regarding Drew. Very messy. She knows what she's doing. Being a dickhead. She mentions that Dennis had texted her and basically said he had texted Drew and was like, I don't want to fuck you, run me my money. Something along the lines of that. I'm probably being a bit more harsh in relaying it to y'all. Ralph is shocked. Ralph does talk about how Dennis was respectful and, shaking, and actually reached out to him prior to working with Drew. So that's cool. It's obvious that there's tension. Porsha, being messy. They start asking him about the divorce. Ralph confirms that he filed first. Portia's like, well, why did you file? And he says, because Drew cheated on me with Ty. Bravo, because they messy. Flashback to, was it last season or the season before? Whatever season it was when she did the movie for Todd and Candy, because that was when the whole Ty shit was going on. And she basically says, yes, I told him about my friend and she makes me happy and she laughs at my jokes and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, you know this for sure? He's like, yeah, she told me. I knew it. We all knew it, but now we really knew it. So then Shamea asks Ralph, has he ever cheated? Long pause. He says, no, I don't believe that. He probably cheated probably after Drew, but they definitely was playing on each other. That to me is pretty obvious. At one point, so after that, Shamea and Porsha are talking and there's tension. And at one point, while they're having this little bit of tension at the table, it's like Ralph disappeared into the ether. And it was hilarious because Porsha looks over him and was like, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot you were here. So yeah, that ends that. So next we go to Angela is at one of her investment properties, meeting up with Kelly. So Angela is low-key freaking out about these investment properties. She says she has 5. The 5 properties that they show, I think they showed 5, but what I saw, they all look good. They seem to be a variety of investment properties, different types of houses. The house that she was in, I think, is going up for $3 million, she said. It still needs a lot of work. In the scene, she's actually putting Post-its on shit. No, not like Candace. For her daughter, for stuff to fix. So Kelly comes in. Kelly is so shady. Kelly is shady. She's funny, but she be throwing little jabs. Like, okay, girl. So Kelly. So Kelly comes in, throwing a little bit of shade at the house. She asked Angela to give her a tour. I thought the house was cute. Kelly kept referring to it as cozy, which is shade for it's small. Real estate, I briefly studied that. Cozy means small. I like cozy. My apartment's cozy. It's cozy. Come on. Beyonce said it's cozy, so it is. Anyway, so they start talking about the girl. About the girls. And Kelly, this is why I like Kelly, because Kelly knows she's shady. Kelly apologizes to Angela for kind of being messy when it came to the Charles has a baby thing. They flash back to the Bailey Q, and she was being a little messy with her when Britt was coming at her. So Kelly apologizes for that, which is nice. Angela addresses the baby rumor. Basically says that she was at an event with Wendy Williams, her husband Charles, and Wendy's then husband. And Wendy had asked a question about who's had a baby in their marriage or something. And Angela was talking about a previous relationship. And she said at the time that was happening, the rumors about Wendy's husband and his side baby were circulating too. So she had pointed, I guess, at Kevin. I'm badly paraphrasing, y'all. Basically what she was saying is Charles does not have an extra baby. She was referring to someone else. Wendy took it and she said the rumor went off and basically the lie was born and it's living on. So she cleared that up. I'm glad she cleared that up. I don't think she was lying. I assume she was telling the truth. I kind of feel like by now, if this were true, we would have heard about the baby. Or the side piece, like they all would have come forward. I don't know, maybe not. I don't know. Maybe they're old school side pieces where they don't say anything. Now you just get clout for who you sleep with. Welcome to 2025. So anyway, Angela and Kelly also talk about Shamea and the whole Porsha situation, their friendship. It's interesting because Angela is definitely the MVP of this season. That's clearly not up for debate. But what's interesting is she's definitely the bone collector, but she's trying to be like Iyanla with it. Talking about, I can fix it and I can get them back together. You haven't been able to fix shit yet, Angela. So stop. Well, don't stop because then there'd be no show. But like, I get her intentions, but it's like it ends up being messy because it just looks like you're going to each group and telling what this one talked about. I don't know. Kelly said in her confessional that Angela needs to mind her own business. I kind of agree. Because Angela, is very obvious you can't take the heat. When somebody comes back at you about something that you've said or done, you got a whole problem with it. So, yeah. I forgot one main thing I wanted to point out. Angela relayed to Kelly that Shamea is upset that Porsha didn't go to her wedding. I remember that episode, and it was obvious she was pissed. That was all my diehard RHOA fans remember that episode. It was not good. Anyway, so after that, we go to Britt's house with her husband. They're in the kitchen. Very short scene. Britt was barely in this episode. They're preparing for her mom to move in. I guess her husband reached out to her older sister. They do a quick flash to them talking. What's interesting though in the flash is the sister talks about how she feels like that he's controlling and that Britt can't reach out to her without getting his permission, something like that. I'm surmising, paraphrasing. He says that's not true at all. He doesn't control anybody. I believe him. The way Britt speaks to her sisters and her mama is giving, I don't have time for y'all. I could see her making up, well, Charles, or, my husband, I can't remember his name now. He's calling me. I don't know. I felt like Britt was kind of putting 20 on 10 with that with her sisters. That's just something I picked up on. I could be wrong. I took notes. Sorry. That's what I'm reading from. Britt also expresses Angela being nosy, her issues with that. We move on. So Porsha meets Angela at another one of her rental or investment properties to play tennis. I fell out when Angela's like, any bitch that says she wants to fuck my husband is not me. They're not meeting me in my house. That was kind of funny. So they meet. Porsha looked great. She said it was giving Power Ranger, giving Venus and Serena. It gave, I want to look cute for tennis, but I don't actually want to play tennis. She looked great. But so they play tennis. It was kind of funny. Angela, they be making fun of Angela being tall, calling her Big Bird. I've been called Big Bird before because I'm tall. So I thought that was kind of funny. She said she had a big wingspan. Hilarious. So after that, they're sitting down by the tennis court and they're talking about everything. Porsha briefly mentions the Pampered by Porsha and invites Angela. They talk a bit about Drew. And it's so funny because in the confessional, Portia's like, I want Angela to get to know more people so she has more than one friend than Drew. Porsha is messy again, mentions the text from Dennis. She knows what she's doing. So for her to backtrack on this, girl, you know what you're doing. We've all seen it. We're seeing it. We're seeing it in real time. Angela decides to bring up Shamea. This is when the whole course of this scene changed. She tells Porsha that Shamea feels like, she basically says that she feels that Porsha didn't want her on the show. She feels like Porsha doesn't show up for her as a friend, which is true. We've all seen that. And she mentioned that she was disappointed she didn't go to her wedding in Kenya. Portia's shocked. And she says in her confessional that she's really shocked that she would discuss this with other people and not her. I understood that. Porsha gets really emotional. Were y'all expecting this? Because I definitely wasn't. The camera pans back to her. She's got her fan over her face. She's crying. I didn't see any tears. Maybe there were. But it's obvious that she was emotional and upset. They end up getting up and walking away. And she basically says, like, this is too much to handle. She goes home. Angela goes into the house. Angela felt bad. She didn't think that she was going to react like that. To be honest, I was in my bed watching it like, oh, wow, okay. All right, so next we go to Drew in her house with the kids talking about the divorce. In her confessional, one of the producers is asking her off screen about, do the kids know about her and Ralph getting divorced? She says no, that it's in the divorce decree for them not to tell the kids. I find that weird. I mean, it's obvious that there's a divide. I mean, he lives downstairs. When he comes upstairs to hang out with him, she has to leave the house. So how are they explaining that? I mean, I think she said it. Maybe they're like going to work. I don't know. I just find it weird that, especially, was it Josiah, her oldest son? Like, he obviously must know what's going on. They're not kids. Kids ain't stupid. They know what's going on. I just thought that was kind of weird. So anyway, she's on a Zoom call with Dr. Ken, who I like. I don't know. Dr. Ken's been circling the reality show shit for a minute now. Just like that other doctor guy. But she said basically he started off as her marriage counselor for her and Ralph, and now he's become her life coach. So she's on the Zoom call catching up with him about Ralph, the divorce. She mentions that Ralph went out with Porsha and Shamea for lunch. Definitely expresses her disdain about that. In that same scene, we flash back to Angela sitting down with Drew and Kelly, being messy, Bone Collector. She's telling Drew what Porsha said about her, the issues with that. She talks about the dentist text. It's not good. It's not good. All right, so the next scene is Pampered by Porsha event. Briefly. Not briefly. They go in. So the event is nice. The ladies are to wear like a lingerie, like sexy outfits. They're going to get... They also, they have a meditation thing they do with Lauren later. It's like a, it's an event to pamper them, basically. Basically, we'll see. So, in the event space, when Portia's like looking at everything before all the ladies arrive, she talks about how she's rebranding and building herself back up from just being a wife. Yeah, because you quit all your jobs when you married Simon. We literally watched you put all your eggs in one basket. And now that basket is getting deported and broke. But I get it, do your thing, Porsha. You screwed up and now you have to kind of rebuild yourself in front of the world. And I think you're having a hard time atoning for the fuck shit that you did. But it is what it is. So the ladies arrive. Drew arrives first, talks about, she was surprised she was invited. I'm surprised you were invited too. But this is a TV show. We know why you were invited. The ladies come in. They're getting pampered. They're drinking. Britt comes in and she's flirting with... I don't know if she was flirting. I think the guy that was giving them the drinks was flirting, talking about double-fisted and shit. It's hilarious. She was smiling, though. She was loving it. He was cute. Okay. So this is where I was like, Porsha, what are you doing? So Porsha says that she hired the best photographer in Atlanta and he's on a limited amount of time or whatever. So they get all the ladies together in their lingerie and she's doing group photo shoots with the sheets, Porsha, Pampered by Porsha. Drew, I don't like you, but I agree with you. They cut to Drew and Drew's like, are we brand ambassadors for this? Because I was for Go Naked, but my contract was terminated. Where's my contract for Pampered by Porsha? It was hilarious, and it definitely gave branding ambassadors just the way they positioned in the scene, the photos, her with the sheets in the front. I don't know, but okay, whatever. So after that, they do a meditation like prayer circle thing with Lauren running it. And if you guys remember, Lauren is big into yoga and meditation. If you watch Porsha Family Matters, she actually dives more into that. So the meditation part is over. The only one that's not really meditating, actually it's not over. The only one that's not really into the meditation is Shamea. She's visibly upset. It's obvious. There is a divide between her and Porsha. Kelly notices it, goes over to, because Shamea is the only one that's sitting up. Everybody else is laying down doing the breathing exercises. She's sitting up. The look on her face was she was upset. She was pensive for sure. Kelly comes over, asks her what's going on. She's upset. Kelly, I left something out. Before they go to the meditation prayer circle thing, Kelly pulls Shamea aside to talk about how Porsha knows what she said, that Angela went back, and the whole lapdog comment too, because that apparently really bothered Porsha a lot. Or not Porsha, I'm sorry, it really bothered Shamea. So Shamea is privy. Shamea now knows that Porsha knows what she said, and she knows that there's been conversation. So now, meditation prayer circle. The meditation part is over. Kelly gets up. She notices Shamea's not in it. They start talking. Portia's shushing them. And yeah. So Lauren says after the whole meditation thing, we're doing this sister circle. Somebody can get in the middle and address what they want to, whatever the issue is, if they want to address to someone or an issue in general. So Angela starts. Angela addresses Porsha. She actually thanks Porsha and for her apologizing to her. I think she also apologizes to Porsha. Maybe I'm getting that wrong. My notes are weird. Actually, no, it is Angela that apologizes to Porsha. They talk about that briefly. Kelly decides to chime up in the circle. Talks about the issues between Porsha and Shamea. talks about the wedding drama and how Shamea doesn't feel supported as Porsha's friends. It kind of takes off from there. Shamea and Porsha go back and forth. Portia's upset about the whole wedding conversation. She basically deflects. Sorry, my alarm went off. But anyway, so Porsha expresses by deflecting that she's annoyed about Shamea saying that she was upset she didn't come to her wedding in Kenya. She gives this whole excuse about how they weren't getting along a couple months before, which completely negates what she said in that particular season and earlier in this particular episode. Because in that season, it was a health issue. And now we're hearing that her and Shamea weren't vibing a couple months before the wedding. And then she throws the medical issue on top of it. Porsha, shut up. Porsha, you're lying. You need to just own it. Then she says, well, I was at your wedding back here in Atlanta. I don't understand what the issue is. There's an issue. Shamea says that she doesn't feel supported. She didn't like the lapdog comment. And Porsha is basically like, just being cold and being an asshole. Being a dickhead. She's being a dickhead. At one point, Shamea is like, I would just like a little grace. Whenever someone talks about you, I stand up for you, and I would just like that in return. Just a little bit of grace. Portia's like, thank you for your grace. See, Porsha, this is why people have an issue with you, because you're an asshole sometimes. You did all this fuck shit in front of the world. You've been doing fuck shit since you got on this show. And then the moment your ass gets called out on it, it's a problem. For her to sit over there quietly like, well, I guess I'm just a dickhead. So now you're going to play victim because you're getting called out on your behavior. You're shitty to your friend. And what's really disappointing is Shamea is your childhood friend. Friends are hard to come by. What's friends? How many of us have them? You have a friend from fucking childhood who you're friends with on national TV. I worked in Hollywood. Hollywood is this big. Shit. In life is this big. It's hard to find a loyal friend. You have a real friend that's loyal to you, and you shit on it continuously. And the reality is you're fucking jealous because Shamea has the life that you want. You thought you was going to do that with Simon. The shit backfired in your face because your intentions weren't pure. You went in there on some fuck shit, thought you was going to marry good. You quit all your jobs. You did too much. Too much. And it backfired in your face because karma don't fucking play. And now you're going to sit up here and shit on your friend. I don't like that. Anybody that watches me knows I drag everybody. Equal opportunity. Porsha, I go up for you when I feel that you're being wronged. But right now, you're a dickhead. And I don't like the way you're treating Shamea. I like Shamea. I think she's a good person. You, I don't know. We'll see about next week. I wasn't feeling how Porsha was acting at the end of the episode. She's very dismissive of her friend. I'll give her that. Shamea shouldn't have been going around. Shamea definitely shouldn't have been going around talking about her issues with Porsha. She should have brought it directly to her, even though she expressed that she was scared to say something to Porsha. But you've known her your whole life. Come on. But Porsha, really? Thank you for your grace. Girl, bye. Anyway, I'm going to be late for work. What do y'all think of this episode?